Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this special session on personalized medicine. My name is Montse Davan. I am the Scientific Director and International Relations Director at Biocat, the Bioregion of Catalonia. We are proud members of the Council of European Bioregions and also proud partners of the EATRIS Plus project coordinated by EATRIS and by Toni Andreu. Here's with me, my colleague today, to present this special session and the panelists. You'll learn more about EATRIS in the next minutes. Just a couple of tips about today's session. First, you can ask questions through the web, through the chat that you are connected in, and also you can use the hashtag PersMedTogether for dissemination of this session through the social networks. And now to introduce the agenda, I'll just quote myself in a post that I wrote a couple of days ago in LinkedIn. It's a question. Personalized medicine can only advance if all agents involved work together. True or false? And the answer I gave is true, according to the results and the conclusions that we got in the first panel about personalized medicine that we shared also with EATRIS last September in the framework of the Bioregion report presentation. So next step, we gathered together four relevant stakeholders involved in personalized medicine advancement, and they can talk from their different perspectives. So this is Biocat's contribution with the support of CEBR and also the support of EATRIS to the imperative of working together to advance on and accelerate the innovation in the value chain of personalized medicine. So my colleague Toni Andreu is going to present the panel, the panelists, the table, the debate, and he's also the coordinator, like I said, of the EATRIS Plus project. So I'm very happy to have you here too, and please, the floor is yours, Toni.
Thank you, Montse. We are absolutely very excited for being here face-to-face finally after so many months, and having an exciting discussion with people that come from different perspectives, different stakeholders, on how we can move forward in the process of adopting the agenda for personalized medicine, something that is definitely going to change the healthcare landscape at the global level. So we have, as you know, a very exciting roundtable where different people are going to, experts coming from different fields are going to discuss how the progress of personalized medicine is going to happen in the next few years. And to set the stage, we have two introductory lectures. The first one is going to be given by my colleague Anton Ussi, the Operations Director of EATRIS, the European Infrastructure for Translational Medicine, who's going to tell us how EATRIS is working for gathering the different stakeholders together and making sure that we join forces for the progress of personalized medicine. So Anton, I'm very happy to have you here also face-to-face. Thank you for coming to Barcelona from Amsterdam, and the floor is yours for the presentation.
Thank you, Toni. Thank you. Thank you, Montse.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm going to stand here so I'm not in the way, and you hear me okay? Super, great. So it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking about translational medicine and how it feeds the pipeline of personalized medicines, and really talk about some of the issues on there and see how we as a research community can approach that. So EATRIS is a research infrastructure. So you're probably more familiar with the really big fancy physics facilities like CERN, where they invent and discover things like the God particle. But in the last 20 years or so, Europe has also made a really concerted effort at bringing research infrastructure into also other areas, such as the life sciences, where you have very distributed infrastructure, where the data collection, the machines are actually in local hospitals and in regional territories. So you see there on the right, EATRIS is an example. We have 115 facilities as compared to CERN's 1. So our mission really is to advance the field of translational medicine so that we can help everybody who's working on a personalized medicine, working on the tools to develop personalized medicine, to really make that route and that progression towards the patient more quick and more effective. And to do that, you really have to create a whole ecosystem that involves all of the disciplines and all of the sectors that stand between the publication and the patient. And that includes industry, that includes the regulators and the health technology assessors and the payers and the policymakers and the clinicians that will help you understand the value of those interventions that you're developing. So within those 115 institutes, we have research facilities and expertise to help traverse that path all the way through to the patient. So what we do on a daily basis is translational medicine, which is really about bringing together the latest technologies that help you understand what's happening in the body, what's going wrong, and then when you're developing a medicine, help you understand how is that medicine performing? Is it reaching its target? Is it engaging with the physiology in the way that you want to do? And to do that, you really need to work with the experts who understand the biology better than anybody else in the world, and the clinicians and their patients to really understand the pathophysiology and understand what the disease is doing, so that as you're developing your medicine, you can really get a feel for whether you're affecting the disease or not. So we have access to this ecosystem of translational expertise, but we also do other things on a daily basis. Education training is incredibly important, helping people understand the value and need of translational medicine, developing new tools, those new cutting-edge technologies, and also innovative collaboration models to help improve the conditions for translation are very important for us also. So we're actually in 14 countries. Our facilities are in 14 countries, but people from anywhere in the world come and use us on a daily basis. We have researchers ranging from Japan through to Australia through to North America, but of course, most of our user base is here in Europe, and we have those 114 institutes covering any type of drug, any type of diagnostic modality, and vaccines. So really, it's about cutting that shortest path through to the patients and to getting towards the market. And we're a European Research Infrastructure Consortium, this legal entity that makes us an international organization and helps us operate across borders. So these scientific platforms, really it's about the technologies. So if you're developing a classical small molecule drug, it's about really developing, having access to the latest preclinical models, the assays, the in vitro and the in vivo models that help you really understand the efficacy and the safety of your drug, being able to then move towards GMP manufacturing and scale up and really testing in humans, trying to accelerate that path because it's very challenging and very time consuming, and really having access to the latest technologies is very important for that. So we really cover pretty much anything through those 115 institutes. So in that circle, that sort of pipeline of development, you have your foundational research that develops the new insights, then you try to develop a medicine that works on those new insights, then you try and translate that into the patient after validating it in the lab. And along that pathway, it takes a long time, and about $2.5 billion and 10 to 15 years is the often quoted cost of a new medicine, because there are a lot of challenges on the pathway. And so translational medicine, we have to cover quite a broad area of challenges. And so we've actually been working along many parts of the pathway, and the EATRIS Plus project that Tony coordinates is an important one, helping develop tools. I'll come back to that in a moment. But on many different places in it, we have different solutions. For instance, we work together globally with our partners in translation together to support improvement in quality of high throughput screening systems, all the way to the other side, where we work with the European Patient Forum and EURORDIS in very patient-centric, patient-focused initiatives to improve access of patients to the research process and vice versa. So EATRIS Plus, the project that brings us here together today, it's a 20-partner project to really develop the technologies, the technologies supporting complex R&D, biological R&D, to help with the personalized medicine approach. So really about being able to have high-quality research that not only looks at the genomics level of what's happening in body, but in all of the foundational cascades, the biological process as you go down towards the phenotype. These all take different technologies, and EATRIS Plus really is about building the quality control and the support mechanisms to help do very high quality research in that, and really help us develop the ability to develop personalized medicines here in Europe. So the objectives really are about access to these tools and these resources to strengthen the EATRIS practices, help the community access these, and also to drive patient empowerment, which we really need to accelerate. There's good need for it. There's a lot of will and ambition from the patient communities to be involved in the research process. So we're trying to support that, and building lasting partnerships is very important. So this is a bit complicated. I won't go too deep into it, but it's really about multiomic technologies. So being able to really look at any type of technology, looking at any level of biological processes, and seeing that we make sure that it's high quality research generating robust data, which is a very big challenge in preclinical research. Then going all the way through to the other end of the pipeline, clinical research, some of you may be familiar, is extremely expensive, very time-consuming. There's a high patient burden as well. But there are new clinical trial methodologies that can make that process a little bit simpler and a little bit less painful for the patient. Platform trials is one of them, where you're able to share control groups, which means less burden on the patients by people being on placebo, reduced time, and also by being able to actively go between different active arms, investigational arms on a platform trial, really putting drugs together in the same trial. It can reduce cost and times for the developers as well and have better patient outcomes. So together with a partnership of almost 30 partners, coordination from the Vall here, and Tony Ramos, who we're going to meet shortly, also is one of the work package leaders. It's really about bringing platform trials to many different disease areas. So the EU Pearl, very, very exciting public-private collaboration with the FPA companies led by Janssen and Novartis. And again, also covering the whole pipeline in the rare diseases field, what's very important there is really, it's a very active community, but because of these small patient numbers, it's a bit of an orphan community in terms of the innovation for personalized medicine. So despite really good measures coming from the regulatory field to incentivize research in rare diseases, the orphan drug regulation, etc., it's difficult. And so this European Joint Program really has brought together the whole of the European research community to develop funding, data, translational clinical research tools and support mechanisms to help research and innovation in rare diseases. This is a very exciting project and is ongoing for another 2 years or so. And that really, EATRIS there is one of the co-leaders there supporting translational excellence and helping people really understand the path to the patient. I think this is the last slide. I think translational medicine and personalized medicine would be nothing without public-private collaboration. We really need the strong, beautiful, creative biology insights coming from the academic community, but we really need the strength, the industrial power, the process orientation, and the innovative economic modeling of the industrial sector to help advance those developments forward. And so together with GSK, this is to develop new imaging tools for drug development. We've been working with them since 2017. This is a very nice example of where public and private collaboration comes together for the patient benefit, trying to develop new imaging methodologies that help us understand the specific individual patient's phenotype and needs for immune inflammation diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm probably over time already as it is. So Tony, thanks very much, and thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Anton, for setting the stage for the discussion that we are going to have all together later. But we have an additional contribution before starting the roundtable coming from a different perspective. And we are happy to have with us, not physically, but online, Julia Schaff. Julia is the Managing Director of BioRN, the biocluster of the Heidelberg area. And she's going to give us some examples on how cross-sectional collaboration between different partners, industry sector, academic partners, is essential for moving forward in the success and in progressing for adopting a global agenda for personalized medicine. So Julia, thank you so much for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the invitation. BioRN just recently joined CEBR, so I'm very happy that we can be featured here so prominently in this session. Yes, I'll be sharing my screen to show you my presentation. And that's not it. It's here. Okay. I think you can see my slides now. Yes, so at BioRN here in Heidelberg, we have pretty much come to the same conclusion as Anton in his previous presentation has so very elaborately said, that translating these wonderful scientific achievements is one of the core problems and bottlenecks in medicine in general, personalized medicine in particular. So BioRN has come up with two tools in particular that we've established over the past years, and I'm going to take you through them as an example of really good public-private partnerships and projects. So just to start out with BioRN in a nutshell, we are the science and industry life science cluster of the Rhine-Neckar region. So not just Heidelberg, but 100 kilometers around Heidelberg. It's one of Germany's strongest biotech hubs. We are non-for-profit, so everything we do is for the benefit of the region and to foster health innovations. And our particular strength is really to be at the interface between academia and industry, and we are leveraging that unique selling point in our projects. So this is the map depicted here on the left with some of our members. You can really see the unique strength here in the region, that unique mix of top scientific research institutions, 12 of them are active members, and global pharmaceutical companies that are at very high density in our region. And we're using that combination to leverage what we want to achieve. So traditionally, BioRN was known to be very successful in raising public funding, more than 100 million over the last 25 years. But we have really shifted towards engaging and enabling translation of scientific achievements into medical applications. So the region is really known for a really broad range of scientific achievements. Personalized medicine, I think, is at the core, all clustered around our strengths in oncology, cutting edge imaging, immunology, and the omics in general, just so you can home in on our scientific expertise a bit better. So these are our academic players, really top-notch scientific institutes in the life sciences field. What we don't have is that translational activity that we're missing. So our mission at BioRN is, by employing our unique strength at the intersection between academia and industry, to develop the region into a world-leading life science cluster, and attracting international investment and top global talent. So our scope of functions, as I said, it's a bit broader. So apart from the classical networking and alignment activities that we do as a network, we are there to promote the life science region nationally, but also internationally. We have a strong cross-organizational function. So anyone with an interest in the life sciences finds a sparring partner at BioRN before they have to go to all the different institutes, to all the different players in the region. They can come and arrive with BioRN. And what I'm going to go a bit more into detail now is our function in translational support. So just to show you where our projects are situated. So on the line development of projects, and I'm using the technology readiness level here as an example. So from TRL1, where we have a research idea and just developing a hypothesis, all the way through target lead identification, preclinical phases, clinical phases, up to the launch and the formation of a new company, an asset, and to the successful development of that startup into an SME. BioRN has the projects pretty across a broad range of these different phases of a project. BioRN Scout is a project or a service that I'm not going to go into. It's pretty much a scouting activity that enables innovation seekers from usually big pharma to scout for projects, technologies, targets, whatever they need in their pipeline in our network of innovators, and we put them in touch with each other. The Catapult and Bridgehead project here towards the right, the later stages of a technology, are really are some projects that we're doing together with EIT Health. But what I'm going to go into a bit in more detail today are the two projects, BLab 2122 and BioLabs Heidelberg. So BLab 2122, previously known as Evotec Rhein-Main-Neckar Bridge, was a project that we've looked into maybe 2 years ago. We started looking into a way to bridge the valley of death, in particular for drug discovery projects, on their way to create industry-ready startups. So what we have encountered there for what is the problem with these drug discovery projects and also in Heidelberg is the lack of funding, because usually universities are no longer responsible or don't see themselves responsible for financing the very costly drug discovery phase after the research phase is completed. Often there's also no capabilities there to perform a comprehensive preclinical testing through a range of indications and, small molecules, biologic and cell therapy assets. There's also a lack of market experience, and often researchers are lacking the connections to the pharma partners, which are of course, integral and very important if you are thinking about translating science into a startup company. So we've looked across a number of international models, accelerator models that can bridge this gap that we're facing, and we've come to the conclusion that the Evotec academic bridges model is the most suitable for our needs. So the way the academic bridges work, there are usually an academic partner who is delivering the scientific input. Then there is a financial partner who is giving the money to finance the preclinical phase. And then there is the partner Evotec as the provider of a comprehensive range of preclinical testing that is done at their different sites. So after the initial discussions were enabled 2 years ago, just in April this year, we have successfully launched BLab 2122, and I'm going to take you through that project now. So just like all the other academic bridges of biotech, there is the core partner is Evotec here as the enabler of that puts their extensive range of preclinical competencies to use. There are the academic partners. There's first the financial partners. So in this case, Evotec was able to secure a relationship with Bristol Myers Squibb from the US. Evotec himself is also giving financial contributions. BioRN as the network partner really brought the academic partners to the table. The university in Heidelberg, the DKFZ, the EMBL, those are the three main players in Heidelberg, but also the university in Frankfurt, Goethe University, and University in Tübingen. So the way this works, there's an Evotec expert in residence who helps the TTOs at these academic institutions to identify suitable projects. Then Evotec builds a work plan for the preclinical drug discovery phase. The work is funded by the BLab 2122 fund, which is 20 million euros, and each project will receive up to 1.5 million euros in funding. And hopefully, after all this work is done, the aim of all this is to develop new companies. So this is the BLab 2122 project. Apart from drug discovery projects and the preclinical phase, we are also looking at the later phases. So once a startup is successfully created, it often needs more support on the way to a successful second round of financing, for example. So what we also thought was lacking in the region is a fully equipped life science startup incubator that gives also the startups access to big pharma and investors. And also here we've oriented ourselves amongst some international models, looked at different incubator systems, and have concluded that the Lab Central model in Boston, Johannes Frühauf being the founder, also German, having some connections to the region here in Heidelberg, is the most suitable model, the most influential model that could help the region here in Heidelberg to launch from a scientific hub also into an entrepreneurial hub. So BioLabs Heidelberg is our project. We're not quite there yet, but we are on a very good path to establish a fully serviced, fully flexible incubator system here in the region. It really supports the lean startup model, all the experiences. So in the US, we have a network of about 11 BioLabs incubators, and experiences there have shown that the startups are really a multiple faster and more cost-effective when they're going through the BioLabs incubator system, being almost 95% of the startups in BioLabs incubators come up at the other end successful. Apart from being fully serviced, there's also industry partners are an integral part of the concept. So we have secured a number of partners already. They're not only contributing to the project financially, but they have an office on site, and there will be direct access to these partners on a daily basis for the startups in the incubator. There's mentoring and cross-fertilization. The whole thing is accompanied by an entrepreneurial training program, and an investors ecosystem like in the US is accompanying the startups very early on. So where are we up to now? So as I said, we needed to take some time and effort to adapt the US business model to the European model and the German model. We have accomplished that. We have support from all regional research institutions. There is a site secured on the Heidelberg Innovation Campus. The Heidelberg, city of Heidelberg is showing a very strong commitment. We couldn't have done it all without the city of Heidelberg. We have secured the operational cost. 3 strategic partners already signed: Merck, Boehringer Ingelheim, and an undisclosed pharma. Additional 2 partners are in contract negotiations. And we have also secured the pre-launch costs. Equipment sponsors are there to fully fit out the incubator facilities. So this is the stage we're at now. There's also in discussions with about 70 interviewed startups who can't wait for the incubator to open its door in Q4 2021. So these are our 2 main projects that we're very, very proud of. All this and the other projects at BioRN are run by a very small but very efficient team that I'm very, very proud of. So I'm happy. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions now or in the panel later on. Thank you very much.
So, welcome back. Julia, thank you very much. That was a really fantastic presentation. It's super exciting, those 2 projects, and we'd be very interested to hear a bit more about that in a moment as we go through the roundtable. I'd like to welcome, alongside Julia and myself on a virtual stage, firstly, Antoni Ramos Quiroga, who's head of psychiatry at the Vall Hospital and principal investigator at the Vall Research Institute. Tony, welcome. It's really great to have you here. We look forward to hearing your insights.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for this kind invitation.
Great, thank you. And also on the virtual platform, we have Kaja Kantorska, the Policy Officer for Pharmaceuticals at the Director General of Health and Food Safety at the European Commission. Kaja, welcome.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Super, thank you. And unfortunately, we haven't had a last-minute cancellation from Dimitrios Athanasiou from Duchenne Organization due to unforeseen circumstances, which is unfortunate to hear the patient voice today, but I think we'll be able to hopefully bring that in with some of our experiences. I can imagine, Tony, you have a lot to say also about the patient's needs. Maybe we could kick off the proceedings with Kaja. If I can give the floor to you for a moment. Obviously, the work done at DG Sante and the work done at the EMA is very important, a very important gatekeeper, but also stimulus for innovation. And I know certainly from personal experience in the last few years, working a little bit with the EMA, seeing the positive attitude towards trying to support innovation in a way that still protects the needs of the European citizen and patients is really amazing. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that role as the regulator and how is the EMA and the European Commission stimulating innovation the way you see it, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anton. Yes, it is, an excellent moment actually for this discussion as we are now at the stage that we have published actually at the end of 2020 the Pharmaceutical Strategy for the EU. which is, you know, a breakthrough, and it is a moment that we are looking, you know, a bit in the past, how the system has worked in the EU, how the pharmaceutical framework has worked. And we work, of course, closely with EMA, with member states, with all stakeholders, with patients, and we want to gather this experience and see what can be done to improve the system, to make it, like you say, we want to have innovation in the EU, we want to be world leaders in innovation, so we need to make the legislation future-proof and agile for such innovation. So this is what we, this is where we are now, and this work actually has started with the framework on the small populations. So you mentioned today already rare diseases, and we have started looking into the medicines for rare diseases, medicines for children. Now we are looking globally at the whole pharmaceutical framework, but from this life cycle perspective. So from research to assessment, scientific assessment at EMA, to regulatory procedures, authorization, and all those post-authorization measures. And in this, you know, global look, what we were trying to do is we try, of course, to create this ecosystem, so to work in a collaboration, in a collaborative manner as well. And it is fantastic, you know, to hear everything that you are doing from the research perspective. Of course, the Commission tries to support as well research through various programs. You know that we will continue to support personalized medicine through Horizon Europe. There will be a co-funded partnership on personalized medicine, which will kick off in already in the work program of 2023. And the aim is to become a world leader as well in the standards for personalized medicine here in the EU. But this is not the end, of course. We need to then look at the further steps. So like you say, the role here of EMA is as well great of helping developers, especially academia and SMEs. And this is what we will probably discuss it further, you know, and I will tell you how we will try, you know, to help you. Thank you.
Super, Kaja, very clear. It's fantastic to see that there's this constant innovation process, even from the regulatory field, where in a way conservatism is important, but being proactive and part of the actual innovation community is a really wonderful stance. Julia, maybe I could come to you for a moment. Those developments that we see at BioRN are amazing. Those creations, those two projects, creating these mini ecosystems, you see that this is where the field is going, is creating this cushion of knowledge around the researcher and the innovator. What other, can you explain sort of the insights that brought you to those two projects, and how you see the field changing to support personalized medicine innovation?
Yeah, so what we really found is that the bottleneck for all this is that we have to bring in industry as early as possible. So absolutely the basis of all this is science, and there's no doubt that that is already the case here in Heidelberg. But without the knowledge of industry partners, and the financial capabilities of the industry partners, there's no way a project can be successful. So we are using, you know, the neighborhood, the pharma companies that are so close to us to get us across that gap, and breaking down these silos between academia and industry is really something that is in the core of everything that we do. So we are seeing that these things are changing. The interactions with industry are becoming easier now. There's also, of course, personalized medicine is coming with the need to also run multi-center trials, so that, you know, not only between science and industry, but also, you know, between different institutions, between different clinics. They have to be able to share data very successfully, to bring them all together, analyze it, and so forth. So we're seeing that a lot of that is breaking down. The silos are breaking down and enabling that. And BioRN is particularly active on the front of breaking down the silos between academia and industry. Yeah.
Super. Very clear, thank you. And I think those initiatives are amazing. Tony, maybe I could come to you for a moment, really as a practitioner, both as a healthcare provider and as a researcher. How do you see the field changing? I mean, the field of psychiatry is incredibly difficult. Translation is incredibly challenging. What do you see as what does personalized medicine mean to you in your field?
Well, as you said, mental health and psychiatry specifically, we have a challenge because we don't have access to direct biopsy of the brain, obviously. But the moment that we are living now is fascinating because we have now the possibility to phenotype better the patients with all of the medical devices, or also very simple, using the smartphone of the patient. We have more information about the behavioral, about the sleep quality, the activity, and also with the facial recognition of the face, it's possible for some applications to have knowledge about the mood of the people, yes? But more than these aspects that we are using mainly in research, I foresee that we need to implement that in our clinical day by day, and also to have a very structured assessment of the patients and to have a parametric access to this data, because that is the challenge that we have in front of us. For the first time during the last 5 years almost, we have access for 1,000 and 1,000 patients with fMRI, for example. That is absolutely new in mental health. And with these large numbers, it's possible for us in next years to have better algorithms for predictions, for diagnostic, and also with the integration of omics. For the first time, we have hundreds of thousands of patients with schizophrenia, with bipolar, with ADHD. And that is the right moment. But more than research, we need to implement to arrive to the bed of our patients and also to the home of the patient, because with the pandemic it's clear that we need to have the care of patients at home more than in the hospital.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah, exciting, thank you. Yeah, so I hear the word, I think, robustness and rigor, generating data to really understand the patient and then translating that into actionable things that can be implemented in the home space. That comes, I suppose, back into the court of Kaja. Kaja, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you see now the future. Where do you see the regulatory process going to support this innovation? Can you give us some early insights, or is that still in the early days of formation, this review process?
Of course, it is in the early days, but we are quite open as well, and because we are here, for you, and we want to hear as well from all of you what is needed, what actually you need to do this work and to help patients. And of course, like I mentioned, we try to look in this, life cycle of the product. So you mentioned this access to data, and this I know that there are as well a lot of projects ongoing. There is this European health data space, which could as well give access to data. This 1 million genome project. European Medicines Agency is now doing this Darwin EU project, which they try, to establish the center of this data on the actually medicine with the real world evidence. So this all is part of this pharmaceutical strategy, and what we are trying now to see, because this process is a long process of the revision of the legislation, and it has been launched. It is ongoing. So there are studies which are now ongoing, which assess the impact of possible changes to the EU framework. And what we know, what we have seen from the past as well, is that we have, first of all, what is important is we need to have innovation in the EU, but we need as well to address the unmet needs of patients. So we need to try to find, a connection between the two. And what we will try to see is that how we can help to a bit, decrease this gap of unmet needs, which actually, for example, for rare diseases is very high. 95% of rare diseases do not have treatment options. And the future and the promise lies in the innovation. So like I said, on one hand, we need to see, how to adapt the legislative framework, how to adapt maybe the not only the definitions in the legislation, but also the process, innovative products, but as well, what can we do as legislators, as regulators, to help you, academia.
Have lost Kaja. The connection's gone bad there. But Kaja, thank you. Oh, yeah, you're back. Good. Sorry.
Yes, we need to agree. We need to. Can you hear me? Because
yes, now we do.
We need to have this common agreement. What are unmet needs for patients? Of course, those are those areas where there are no treatment options for patients as well. But maybe there are as well developments which are coming. So, for example, in oncology areas, which are breakthrough disease modifying, you see. So how to help you, what do you need? So this is the moment to hear from you as well. And there will be now many consultations, and academia researchers will be part of this consultation. So it will be very important that you participate, that you reply about your needs as well. But what we are trying to see is, for example, that in EMA, there is this program of PRIME, which is this very early scientific advice and help for developers, especially academia, SMEs, and in the already design of the trials and in the development of promising products. And this is something which we can try to put into the legislation. So to be really an established, let's say, process for those really breakthrough innovative products which address unmet needs. So we need this discussion with all the stakeholders, because this is important as well, to try in the EU to, let's say, push research developments in areas of unmet needs, where in areas where we really need those developments for patients.
Clear, thank you, Kai. So that's a very clear call out to the community. The EMA needs to hear from you on what your needs as a developer, as an innovator are, and as an important stakeholder. So I'm sure the organizations involved here today, CEBR and EATRIS and Biocat, will certainly make aware to our communities when these consultations are open. We do encourage you to get involved so that we can develop the next generation policy framework. I'm very excited to announce that Dimitrios is on the call. Dimitrios Athanasiou, who's a member of the European Medicines Agency Pediatric Committee, and also a Duchenne Organization board member and a European Patient Forum board member. So you really do embody that spirit of patient centricism that we are hearing from the various stakeholders today. Dimitrios, welcome. We'd love to hear from you a little bit your experience of personalized medicine as both as a parent and as a member of the EMA. How do you see the field developing?
Thank you very much. First of all, apologies because I am a patient advocate. That means that I have a child in the house. I ran late because there was a small crisis, so I really apologize to everybody. You are very right, and I hear also Kaja's comment. This coordination and working together is essential. This is obviously a requirement, but I think there are other issues that are important, and I see from my experience in EMA that the agency is pretty open, let's say, to hear and to discuss early development. The scientific advice is a tool that it should be used even more. And I think what the agency has managed is to include in these discussions the patients, because it's completely different if you are developing in early stages, whatever treatment. At the end of the pipeline, if you get a favorable HTA assessment, and if you get access, at the end, you measure the impact to the patients. So the criteria for the regulatory pathway, but also the access pathway. And I think one part of the discussion on the personalized medicine is how this can be sustainable. Because we have, as Kaja says, these amazing new technologies that are popping up, and they're popping up 95% of them from rare diseases. But access to them, it's another issue. And we have many examples for the spinal muscular atrophy from Duchenne. We have these examples. So the one topic is how we can build this pathway without any hiccups on the process, how we can be more efficient in the way that we develop drugs. Because if you see the productivity levels of the developers, let's say the current years is dropping, and that's an issue because it also increases the price. and I'm coming from a business background, so it is affecting, let's say, our continuum. The other topic is how we remain competitive in Europe, because I can tell you from rare diseases, many of the children are traveling around the world to have a chance to a treatment, especially if you don't have anything for this. And 50% are pediatric, and 35 of our children will lose them before 5. So you imagine the time pressure that you have to even hope that you're going to go in a trial. So attractiveness for Europe, and in this area we have other, let's say, powers that are increasing their presence, and we might lose our attractiveness. So it is something that we have to solve. The new pharmaceutical strategy, it will have a role to play in this. How we regulate, but also how we motivate and encourage the development of the pediatrics and the orphan. With the two regulations that are open, I think it's our responsibility as Europeans to really see them and to really send meaningful comments. And when it comes to unmet need, although I've been to a lot of discussions, let's say, about the unmet need, and I understand that it's difficult to capture the criteria if you're going to look for prioritization and other, let's say, factors. I think that we all understand that if you have a rare disease that kills you by the age of 1 or 5, there is no discussion for unmet need. We're not talking about, a very rare form of diabetes. We're talking about a different breed, a different animal. And maybe we will not be able to agree in the unmet need overall, but maybe we should start by the high unmet need. Because I think in this one, and I'm looking to Kaja, I think this is easy to agree on. And it will build, a pathway and a technology to do so. So, and my last comment, and thank you for this, on the personalized, what we are more worried is the access. So you can have amazing products, but then you have to access them. And this is something that also we want to include in the unmet need discussion, because yes, you might have a product in the market. So theoretically, the unmet need is covered. It might be even a treatment, an amazing treatment, but then you don't have access. Is this unmet need? At least in our book it is.
Dimitrios, thank you. Yeah, there's still a lot of ground to cover indeed in terms of making personalized medicine the standard fare and the quickest route to market. I hear there the challenge of ensuring that we can increase the efficiency of the process and then the access at the end. So maybe we can shift the discussion a little bit towards that implementation end. And I have a question for you, Kaja. Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. Obviously, so now the regulatory process covers first the EMA's remit of the drug safety and patient safety, and making sure that it will contribute to the health of the patients. But then we also have the more economic reimbursement side, health technology assessments, and the payer assessments. Now, there are movements towards trying to make those a little bit more aligned. Could you tell us a bit more about how you see that developing?
Yes, of course. And thank you, Dimitrios, for highlighting this. Access is very important. And actually, the main aim of all this pharma framework is to have medicines that then reach patients. And we have seen in the last years, especially for rare diseases, that access was really problematic and really unequal among member states. So this is something we are looking at. This is also one of the pillars now of this pharmaceutical strategy. So also in general, because it is a general problem, not only for orphan medicines. So indeed, like you mentioned, Anton, pricing and reimbursement is a competence of member states. So our role as the European Commission is more to help, to coordinate, to try to bring as well this discussion together. We have the HTA regulation, which is now finishing the trilogue discussion. And as you know, it is a positive sign. It is a positive step forward of having these joint clinical assessments, this early discussion as well, which already includes HTA regulators with scientific regulators at EMA. We know that this early dialogue was already happening now on a case-by-case basis for some products. It will be now more structured, more established structure with this once this HTA regulation comes into force. Now, what we are trying, to look into now in this pharmaceutical strategy is how to increase the access. So, of course, this notion, of innovative products like personalized medicine, we will look as well through all this, value chain, through all the life cycle until the end, because like you mentioned, they will be, these are new products, and we need to, a bit shift our mindset and to see how to actually tackle them and how to, without overwhelming the health system, but to have patients in the EU having those products. On the other hand as well, we want to look into what kind of incentives and rewards we, as the Commission are giving to developers to develop those products. And then on the other hand, what are the plans actually of the marketing authorization holders, when on the market launch, because this also influences patient access. So, actually now there is a pilot project ongoing at the EMA which looks into market launch plans of the companies. This one is focused on oncology products and on orphan products. And it looks into, what the companies, when they are submitting an application already to the EMA, where do they plan to launch those products? And we will look as well into possible solutions of maybe linking the incentives that we give to actually then the rollout and in member states and in access of these products to patients throughout EU. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaja. Clear. Lovely to see that there's so much thought work going into making things more effective and efficient in that way. Maybe I could go over now to Julia and ask you, supporting your community there of innovators and creating this ecosystem, what still keeps you awake at night? Where are the challenges still that you think that as a community we really need to face down in order to make personalized medicine a much more smooth process?
Yeah, I think with personalized medicine, with all the biotech projects in general, I think financing is still one of the biggest bottlenecks. So it's a very risky business, it's a very lengthy business, and very few investors understand that the benefits might be a long way down the track. So the mindset of investors in Europe, unfortunately, is not there yet. We see in the US, we have a lot more risk taking. We have a lot more of this understanding. So the whole ecosystem of investors, from very early seed investment all the way to very expensive late stage investments is very intricate and very built out. That's lacking in Europe. So it's one way to change a mindset. I think that's something that we have to work on. I think investors have to come around. But in the short term, I think the only way to get around this is to reduce the risk. And this is the approach that BioRN with those two projects I told you on earlier on is taking. So making it easier, taking the barriers down for those startups, for those projects to be successful, and making it easier for investors to trust that the risk is less, the risk is reduced, so their risk of investment is also much more is better for them. So I think that's so the finances is the one thing, and then yes, just continuing to work closer with industry to get that expertise across and to merge those two competencies together is something that we are continuously working on.
I like the approach of creating that ecosystem to reduce the systemic risk so that we can enhance the ability for people to be able to take risk and put in the finances that we're so desperately seeking in Europe. Yeah. There is still a very big gap between especially regions like the US in terms of investment funding. Tony, maybe I could ask a similar question to you as both a practitioner and as a researcher. What are the challenges for you to translate your insights in the lab and take them towards so that you can genuinely help your patients at the end of the day?
That is a very good point. I think it's the critical point that we have today, because every year we have amazing research funding by the European Commission, the European Union, that later on, 5 years later, we don't have the implementation on the real data or the clinical data. And for me, that is critical. We need to rethink the methods for the validation, for example, the new algorithms that we are using with the health, and to have quite similar with, we are using with GWAS study imputation, yes, and not analyzing all the SNPs of the genome. And with these algorithms, we need to do anything like that. Or, for example, with the adaptive clinical trials, we know now that it's feasible, it's possible to, for the first setting of patients that we introduce it in a clinical trial, an adaptive clinical trial, to imputate the final results without using a lot of patients. And probably these systems, and with the collaboration together with mathematics, statistics, we need to rethink these methods of validations. And obviously it's critical, the aspects of the sustainability of the system. And probably in the next future, maybe we need to rethink this idea that we have a funding allocated for health, but this funding could be allocated for several other areas of the government. For example, we know that some mental health disorders have high impact on traffic or car accidents. Why not to allocate for these aspects for health or for work? For example, we know that some disorders have a huge impact on the work performance. Why not to allocate these funds also for health in these areas?
Interesting, yeah. So looking at the system-wide impact of health and healthcare, and using innovative funding models to see how we can impact those, and shortening the time to validate without losing the rigor and the robustness of the data. Interesting,
that is the point.
Thanks very much. I believe we have some questions from the audience. Monse, can I pass to you to direct some questions to the panel? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Anton. Yeah, there are some questions there. I just gathered some for you. For example, we have Maria Lamotte asked, what are the conditions to use your platform for a preclinical stage of small molecule? I guess that's for you.
Yeah, I guess so, yes. Basically, the way we work is that you just come to us. We'll have a first exploratory phone call to hear your needs. And then we basically will put you in touch with the research teams that can support the work. Unfortunately, we don't have proprietary research funding, so we can't finance the study yourself. So either we can go together and apply for a grant together, or if you come already pre-financed, and then we will, for instance, it might be a laboratory in Slovenia or in Helsinki, and we put you together, and then you'll develop the study plan together and be able to do the work from there. So we really are almost like a matchmaking office to the 115 institutes.
Well, thank you. I guess that answers the question. We have some others. For example, most policy makers feel that personalized medicine is expensive and difficult to adopt in the healthcare systems. How can we make sure that we make it sustainable for the healthcare systems? Probably this question can be answered by any of you, but so as you wish.
Maybe Dimitrios, I could put that to you first. I think you have this broad experience across, as both from a business background, as a parent, and from the committee.
Thank you very much. I think, as we said, I'm coming from finance, so when I hear about lack of finances, is something that triggers me. I don't think we miss capital per se in Europe, so it's not about money. I think what we miss is the connection and the benefits that investing early, it will really create you benefit. And I can give you an example from the Duchenne community. Which is heavily financing small biotechs in order to de-risk this valley of death pathway, in order to reach to the next level. There are models, venture capital or philanthropic venture capital, that we can use. I think the problem is awareness and education, because an investor is an investor. It doesn't matter if it is airplane, matches, or small molecules. It doesn't matter. Obviously, we're not talking about very small life cycles. So in the early stage, you have angels, you have fools and family, usually the funding, but this is something we can scale up. And I think also in the EU level, centrally, the fragmentation of our resources is something that it is an issue. And I can think the fragmentation of the networks of the preclinical network. For preclinical work. We have fantastic people in various networks that don't work together. This is not helping. The fragmentation of data and coming from rare disease, I can tell you that, for example, in Duchenne, we have 70 registries. Do you really want to do a natural history study with 70 registries with different data collection, different quality? You will not make it. It's as simple as that. So you develop new platforms. So there are areas that we can be more efficient. We can streamline where we invest our money as a community, as Europe. And I think that was a very interesting, because before COVID, it was another environment. So, and I can say that yesterday we reached an agreement early in the morning, I think it was 1 o'clock, about the HTA. So this is a very good, positive, let's say, step. But of course, we need to look in the details and how this will work. But there is a movement. I think we have learnings from COVID. We saw that accelerated approvals, sharing, purchasing all together, combined purchases are feasible. And if we don't forget easily what we have learned from COVID, I think we have a very good future looking forward. I don't know, maybe I throw a curveball to Kaja in order to take it from there. And sorry for picking up the moderation.
Go ahead, Kaja, if you have anything to add to that. Thank you, Dimitrios.
Yes, thank you. It is a very interesting point. And actually, I would like to turn it a little bit around, because, what we have learned from the evaluation of the 20 years experience with the orphan regulation. And we know that, many innovative products already are on the market, EU market, like advanced therapies, for rare diseases. What we see and what we hear as well from the national regulators, as well from payers, is that sometimes there's a problem with the evidence, which is they call as low evidence. And what is problematic is as well, this no transparency on research and development costs. This is something that we have seen as well in this area. So you see, so I think it is really, this is the moment now to try to work together to try to solve these problems and find common solutions. Because if we want in the EU, to keep the innovation and to be, not the followers, but really leaders in innovation, we need to work all closely together. And it is difficult because we are, union composed of many member states, and like Dimitrios said, it's a national competence. It's but we are, I would say, doing now big steps forward, and let's hope the best for the future for our patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaja. Very clear. And also, Tony, maybe you have some also to talk about the cost of medicines.
Yes, when we think about, or when we listen that personalized medicine are costly, I am wondering about what is the cost of the deaths that we have every year for adverse events related with drugs. Maybe if we have a more personalized medicine, we can reduce the cost. Or for example, if we have a real personalized medicine ready now, probably almost during all of this pandemic period, we can take the best drug to the patients, the right drug for every patient, and not to test in this way of say and error. And to that, I think it's important to keep in mind that it's not only the direct cost, it's the indirect cost that we will have to get more efficacy, but maybe the most important, the safety of these new drugs or these new methods that we are using.
Clear, thank you. Julia, would you like to add anything to this question, or shall we move to the next question? It's up to yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm just picking up what on Tony said. I mean, adding to that, the how often patients are treated with the wrong dose, with the wrong medication, and the implications that has for that. So I think personalized medicine really is the key, not only for previously unmet need, but also to make a treatment much more sufficient. So I think the cost saving will be come automatically with it.
Julia. Do we have time for more questions, Montse?
I guess we have time for one more question. This is actually for Tony Ramos. You mentioned the importance of artificial intelligence in the future of psychiatric care. So when do you expect this to happen in our healthcare system? Because that's a difficult one.
We are moving very, very fast, obviously, but I think we need this engagement together with the several stakeholders and also the regulators. We need new regulations with the new possibilities that we will have in the future, because obviously, for example, with the health, we are continuing applying for the same system of validation of the drugs. Probably, maybe, we don't have excellent results to apply to the people, and we need to rethink together with regulators, with stakeholders, with research, with tech companies, what will be the framework that we need for the next future.
Clear, thank you, Tony. And indeed, I think just yesterday, the strategic research agenda for the new innovative health partnership, the IHI, which is the successor to the IMI, is being launched. And I think there'll be a lot bigger focus there also on medtech and things like AI algorithms. So that's a very exciting period. Also very exciting to hear of all the developments on the policy field and to see how the patient is getting so much more involved in the process, which I think has been a long time coming, and we hope that we can really accelerate that process of the patient as co-creator and co-designer of the innovation process. And Julia, wonderful to see these amazing initiatives coming out of the BioRN region. We wish you much success with those. Thank you for sharing with them. I think we'll call it quits here. I'm going to hand over to Tony to close up for us. Thank you to the panelists. It was a really engaging, interesting discussion.
So thank you so much, Anton, Tony, Julia, Kaja, and Dimitrios. This has been a fascinating discussion, and several key elements for the development of personalized medicine have been discussed during this hour that we've been together. I would like maybe to highlight a few take-home messages, which I think are very important to reach kind of a final conclusion. First of all, the importance of research and the importance of science. Personalized medicine is based on high-quality science, cutting-edge technologies that reassure that the outputs that are generated from science are going to be incorporated into the value chain and are going to reach the patient community and the public in general. Second, and I think extremely important, and Kaja emphasized that, the firm determination of the policymakers and the regulators to bring personalized medicine to public life, making sure that this is going to be a real tool that is going to transform our society, making all the necessary efforts for modifying the legislation and the processes to bring personalized medicine solution to the citizens. To make this journey successful, we need examples of success. And some of the wonderful examples that Julia brought to the discussion exemplify that the cross-collaboration between different sectors can make certainly personalized medicine possible. And of course, the big challenge is going to be the sustainability of this game changer and equal access across the entire citizen community, in a way that patients are put at the center of this journey and are going to be the main driving force, the horizon for which all of us, we are going to work together. I think that my conclusion, if you agree, is that this journey is being an exciting journey. It's possible that personalized medicine is going to be the real game changer for the healthcare system, but for doing that, we have to make sure that this chemistry that we have created in specific projects, specific examples across the different actors, policymakers, industry, patients, academic, clinical researchers, we are going to reinforce these links, to reinforce this collaboration, to understand that this is a common journey where we all are embarked, and we working together, we have the real capacity of creating a game changer that is going to be sustainable and is going to tackle the unmet medical needs of our citizens, of our communities. So thank you all of you for being with us. Thank you to the audience. Big challenges are in front of us. Our society managed to tackle and to face one of the biggest challenges that we had in the recent history, the COVID-19, and we have clearly proved that when we work together, when we are really determined to break the silos that have been built over the last few years, we can really provide innovative and brilliant solutions to really tackle unmet medical needs. So the journey will continue. Thank you so much to Biocat, to the Council of European Bioregions, and of course also EATRIS, very happy to co-organize this event. Thank you to the panel, and we'll see each other very soon for discussing how to progress in the adoption of personalized medicine. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bon dia.
Thank you.